Hello. Medieval wall paintings have been described as perhaps the most enigmatic art of the Middle Ages. There are hundreds of parish churches with examples, but they're often fragmentary or worn, which makes it difficult for us to decipher and to understand them. But they give us an insight into a medieval world that was very different from ours, and they are powerfully evocative of their age. Before the Reformation, you would expect to find images in practically every parish church. After the Reformation, then the churches were stripped of decoration and the walls were whitewashed. For the ordinary man and woman in the nave in the medieval period, worship, I think, perhaps not so much an intellectual exercise, more about fear and retribution and comfort, about giving meaning to life's rites of passage, birth, marriage and burial. And doom scenes are common, showing the departed rising to learn their fate, everlasting bliss or eternal damnation, and often in very graphic detail. This example is in St James' Church, South Leigh, which is near Witney in Oxfordshire. The roof has been lowered. The upper part would have had an image of Christ in judgment. That's been lost in the process of changing the roof level. And it has a text in Latin, Venite benedicte patris me, come you blessed of my Father, and then discedite maledici, depart ye cursed. And also common are pictures illustrating the life of Christ, the Blessed Virgin Mary and the Apostles. This Passion sequence is at the Church of St Peter, it's Peakirk near Peterborough, dates to the early 14th century, and St Peter was an Anglo-Saxon saint, the sister of St Guthlac, and St Peter's church is noted for its wall paintings. They add a mind's eye picture for the congregation to the words that they're going to hear in church. These Stations of the Cross are in St Michael's Church, Amberley in West Sussex. The most important ritual in the church, of course, is Easter, the morning of Christ's crucifixion, followed by the joy and the miracle of the resurrection, and wall paintings supported these holy moments. The consecrated host, the wafer symbolising Christ's flesh, would be put in a wooden box or sepulchre and placed in a recess on Good Friday to be opened 3 days later. And the recesses were often painted both to support and also to illustrate the rite. This is St Mary's Church at Kempley in Gloucestershire. Painting here dates to around 1130, and it shows the three Marys at Christ's tomb as the story is told in St Mark's Gospel: Mary Magdalene, Mary Salome, Mary Clopas. And an angel draws back the white cloth to show that Christ has risen. A common scene in liturgical dramas performed at Easter. The most popular figure in wall paintings is Christ, and the early depictions are of Christ as ruler. This is also at Kempley, and that begins to change in the 13th century, and more emphasis is placed on suffering and sacrifice. And the second most popular figure is the Virgin Mary, and she appears in a variety of scenes: the Annunciation with the Christ child, seated with Christ, at the crucifixion. This Annunciation scene is at All Saints' Church, Burton Dasset, Warwickshire. Difficult to date, might be 12th, might be 13th century. And these images of Mary go beyond being mere symbols. For people lighting a candle before her image, she represents a personal counsellor, a promise from heaven, a trigger for reflection based on her life, obedience to God, humility, the burdens of life, the pain of loss, the possibility of salvation. She's an interface with the Almighty painted on the wall, and in that sense serves the same purpose as icons in the Eastern Orthodox Church. She is a hotline to heaven, if you like. We also find Mary in apocryphal scenes of her death, her funeral and her assumption into heaven. This scene is at St Mary's Church, Chalgrove in Oxford, dates to around about 1320, and it's Mary informing the apostles of her imminent earthly demise. And these paintings were intended as a focus for devotion and for prayer. Reginald Peakirk, who was the Bishop of Chichester in the early 15th century, he said they help remind the congregation of God, his benefits, his holy life and passion. And we also find biblical episodes, of course, both scenes from the Old Testament and from the New Testament. This picture illustrates the parable of the rich man and Lazarus from St. Luke's Gospel. And we find saints. Here we have St. Eugenia, St. Agnes and Mary Magdalene. They're in St. Peter's Church at Farnborough in Hampshire. The large figure here is St. Christopher, carrying Christ across the river. This is in St. John's Church, Little Missenden in Buckinghamshire. And St. Christopher on the right wearing a hat. This is a sign. It's to show that he was pagan at the time he carried Christ. Medieval people always wore hats. Jesus Christ and the apostles are always shown bareheaded. Who paid for these paintings? Well, that's a topic I'm going to return to next time. If you've enjoyed this video, hit the like and subscribe buttons and click on the notification bell to be informed when the next video is available. Or you can subscribe by clicking on the rose window over my shoulder.